I'd like to call to order the building committee meeting at 16:15 hours. First of all, has everybody had a chance to look at the minutes of the last meeting? Do we have a motion to accept the minutes? Second. Minutes accepted. Review of some of the old business. Karina, can you kind of go back? The last meeting we had till now, a lot has happened because a lot of these plans.
I think you need to approve both sets of minutes. One is for August 22nd and the other one's for June 17th. I
Okay,
don't think we had them in August, so I think we have to approve both of them.
okay. So can we make a motion to, has everybody had a chance to look at June 17th, 2022?
Yep.
Does everybody need a minute?
I'm good with them.
We make a motion to accept the June 17th minutes. So moved. Seconded.
Second,
And can we have a motion? Has everybody had a chance to look at the August 22nd, 2022 meeting?
I don't
Minutes.
have one.
You don't have one?
They're in your packet, I think that there should be at least.
You should be together.
No. Oh, wait a minute, I'm sorry. Okay, I know.
You want to read through them first, Deb?
No, I thought it was all part of the other one. All right, sorry.
So do we have a motion to accept the August 22nd, 2022 minutes? All right, review of some old business. So a lot has happened since the last time we met.
Sure, you want me to give you a kind of a.
Yes, because we're in the dark here.
Oh, right, so since our last meeting in August, police and fire have been meeting with LBA or the Valley Brenzinger. I would say periodically, at least once a month, if not twice a month, every few weeks, to go from the original kind of site plan. So I put packets together for you, kind of in concession of how things have gone. Originally, we went out to the site, we were looking at both parcels, the one towards the, on the left of Mansion Hill and one's on the right of Mansion Hill. That was kind of the first step in just identifying the site and seeing if the building would even fit on those parcels. So LBA came up with a couple different options, as you can see in that first page. One was to continue on the left hand of Mansion Hill side. They also did a proposal for the parcel on the right hand side of Mansion Hill. PB and fire and myself discussed the location of the building and which parts we would be using with LBA. And although in theory, the building fit better on the right hand side parcel, we found that it would probably be a harder sell to the community. Going on that side, there was an issue with having a road both in front of it and behind it, and also the residents across the street and what it would take to kind of get that to be sold. So we kind of thought the consensus of the group was to go back to our original plan with the parcel on the left-hand side, the old airport parcel traditionally, and move forward with that piece with the inclusion of the state's triangle as well.
So we're looking at this paper right here, this.
You're looking at the first page, yep. So that was kind of the original back in September was the first step that we got. So once we came to the conclusion that we would really like to keep it on the left-hand side parcel, we discussed potentially moving the road. We touched on a couple different options. Overall, we felt that moving the road was going to be a cost expense that would be great on top of the building, which we know is going to be expensive. And also we thought, if we're trying to get this approved at town meeting, moving that road, in addition, there was a lot of moving parts that would also have to be approved. So we thought keeping the road where it is, As long as we could fit the building on the parcel, we felt it made the most sense, and then utilize the parcel across the street for potential parking, so we could add some additional parking to the building. So that kind of brings us to the next set of drawings, which they're dated 11/7 in the corner. These were the initial kind of, this is what the building would look like on that parcel, this is how it would be split up. Essentially just kind of very early on discussions on, this is what the building, like I said, would look like and how it would be broken up between police and fire. These are some conceptual, very basic, you know, obviously not an artistic rendering of the building, but you know, essentially what it kind of would look like from the outside. And then we discussed moving forward, if you look at the plans that are dated 11/9 at the bottom, this is how the building could potentially be broken up if we were to do a phased approach to it, where we would most likely do the police side of things first, and then the fire in a different phase. We haven't set on anything, there's no discussion, but we just wanted to see essentially if we were to move forward with the phase approach, how the building would be broken up, what would be in the first phase, what would be in the second phase. So this is kind of where we are right now. The next steps is to finalize the site design. Again, these are kind of very initial proposals for the conceptual plan. They're not finalized. So the next step would be to finalize the site design as well as finalize building visuals for advertisements and public engagement purposes. And also the big one is going to be cost figures, a cost estimate for the whole building at once, and also the phase approach. So we felt we would bring the committee back in at this point, and like I said, give you an update of where we are and kind of next steps. The architects would like to do a formal presentation to the building committee and the board of selectmen. We tentatively have that scheduled for December 19th. It's a Monday at one of the board of selectmen's regularly scheduled meeting to do a more formal presentation, not just hearing some soft cost estimates by then, or I don't want to call them soft costs, but we should have some cost estimates by then, and also better visuals, you know, something that's a little bit more artistic, I guess. Because then it's going to be truly up to the board of selectmen on when those cost figures come in on how we're going to fund this, if we're going to go for it all in the first year, if we're going to do a phased approach, if we're going to budget for final designs, you know, I guess it all kind of boils down to what the cost figure is going to be. So that's kind of where we are right now. And again, you know, as a reminder, these are all still conceptual. None of this is set in stone. Windows and doors are just kind of placeholders right now. If an angle needs to be changed, or if one room needs to flip flop, you know, the control room or the, you know, things are still kind of fluid and can be moved around. Nothing's set in stone. It's all still conceptual. But truly, they just wanted to make sure that they had enough space for everything in the buildings and also enough space on the lot for the building itself. So.
Okay, sorry.
No worries. That's kind of where we are right now.
Okay. Anybody have any questions?
I can ask away, yes.
So what are we looking at for total square footage at this point?
I think it's right around that 29. 29 change.
Why did this concept of phasing come up?
I think that was a discussion that we had from the beginning of if we had to take a phased approach and we had to break up the project between police and fire, what it would look like. And like I said, nothing is set in stone and no one has decided that a phased approach is the best approach, but we felt that if we were gonna be asked it, we were trying to be proactive and see how it would look.
Phasing is a.
It's gonna be twice as much money.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty clear.
Yeah.
But if the building itself comes
Only when
in,
there's a gun to your head, you do that, right? Yeah.
right, but if the building comes in at $12 million, they might ask, well, what if we only did the police versus adding the fire on at a later date? So we felt we were trying to just be proactive and get an understanding of what it would look like, or if it was even possible to do so.
And the effective cost, so that when the town meeting or something, somebody said, well, what if we phase it? Well, we can, however.
However, it's gonna cost us.
It'll be this much to not phase it and this much if we phase it.
Exactly.
However, it's the voter's choice, so.
Is dispatch center included in here?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, the dispatch center would be, so if you're looking at, oh, sorry, yeah, if you're looking at, let's just look at the second page, this one. The yellow area coming in across from the visitor parking, that's all public space. That's gonna be like a public common area. That's where the public will enter, and then dispatch will be right above it, to the north of it.
On the page.
Oh, the next page,
1107,
yeah.
yeah, it's all labeled kind of in that common space, and then the main entrance to the right is where the statue is. That's, I think, 2 pages. Okay.
Yeah, if you look at the interior, when it's all broken up, you can see that the yellow is common, and then there's a corridor and dispatch is right behind it.
So I guess one of the drawings says it's 29,000 square feet. That's what we're looking at. The 11.7 drawing indicates. More than that, like 34,000 square feet.
Does that include the second floor of the PD as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if we go a little bit further down. So if you go to the last one, the most recent rendering, which is dated 11/9, the total square foot right now is 25.5, and then what required was 33,108, and the difference is 7,524. We made some changes in the last few weeks with the PD and the upstairs and how the upstairs would work for them, whether all their patrol operations should be downstairs, or if the locker rooms and the showers and all that stuff would be upstairs. So it's kind of changed things a little bit. And again, this is all still very conceptual and theory. But we did, the PD itself has switched some things around. Ideally, everything would be on one floor, but with the way the lot is, that's really not possible. So we have to move things up to a second floor.
Did we come up with a cost analysis to move Mansion Hill?
No, we didn't come up, but I mean,
Because we're fighting for space here. I mean, I'd like to at least see a cost analysis of what it would be to move that road back to where the original site was. And then we wouldn't be fighting for
Sounds like
space.
do that.
well, I was gonna say, I
We're not
mean,
moving that road back to where it was, just keeping it so it's a square intersection. Yeah.
Very expensive.
yeah, I
It's
mean,
not even the expense, the reason why we moved it to begin with was safety. It was a major safety issue. There was a gazillion accidents there. So yeah, no, there's just not.
It's on an angle now, isn't it?
No, it's a perfect
it's a
square.
T.
It's a four-way square stop right there.
You could always make the road come out and just turn a little bit, make it square again. if you
It
want.
does. And it does according to what's required. It was engineered that way. When you come into the road, you have to have so much straightaway before you can turn to make it a legal. When we redid it, if it was done that way 100 years ago, they could obviously leave it that way. But when you redo them, you have to do them according to safety rules and regulations.
well, and we
and
also
all
were
that stuff.
thinking about the neighborhood itself and how that would impact the neighbors and the community. And it would be another hurdle we would kind of have to go through to sell this project, is not only are we building this big police and fire station in your residential neighborhood, now we're gonna move the road,
We
you
can't,
know.
we can't move it anyway. It won't be allowed to happen because it was too dangerous way it was. Which is why why the town spent a ton of money moving it in the first place, because it was a safety issue.
Yeah, we just thought it was an additional kind of hoop we would have to jump through to get approval. And cost.
Culvert that's on the Olive Road,
Mhm,
it's just up from that Four Corners.
mhm.
If you move the road, you're gonna eliminate that. And that takes care of about 90% of the water
Hmm,
that comes down.
yeah,
If you
That
block
was
that
about-
out, those houses are gonna get flooded.
Flooded out.
That's what's, because then that side of Mansion Hill Road, that swale is fairly full of water. And I've mentioned it before, the swale on the other side,
Stays dry.
there's, right. And you'll know what I'm talking about, those concrete blocks that they, where Burger King is implementing.
Yeah,
Can't they 20 feet back from Mansion Hill, those concrete blocks, and that would add 30, 40 feet to that piece of property.
Yeah.
Easily.
I just hope we're not trying to squeeze this building
Right,
onto
if you could have
an area of that.
well, and that was part of our, and we had the same concern, you know, that was part of our reasoning for potentially moving a much larger visitor parking area across the street to eliminate trying to get all the parking on this one parcel. Because it was also causing some public and personnel shared spaces or shared entrances, which we didn't want to do. We don't want a police cruiser coming in or whipping out in the same access points as the public is. We don't want someone who's coming to get a fire permit at the fire department to be, you know, kind of
Playing chicken with a fire truck.
playing chicken with a fire truck. So that was our reasoning behind it, is if we can eliminate some of the parking on that lot, that frees up a lot of space for us, that gives us a little bit more room. We could push the building back on the parcel a little bit more, so the backside of the building and where all the vehicles and equipment and all will be within a fenced area behind it. was
So
kind of-
this is just additional parking. That's not what you're going to use for visitor parking.
We're gonna have some spaces up front. You see, there's a
I
couple.
can't, the printing is so small, even with my glasses.
There
I
are
can't
a
see
few
it.
spaces right up front.
Sorry, these are my cheetahs for school.
There are proposing to have some spaces right up front, but they are proposing to have the majority of the parking on the opposite side of the street with the
Visitor
nice
park.
crosswalk.
I have an ambulance there an awful lot. They come flying down Mansion Hill like no tomorrow. 90% of them don't even stop at the stop sign.
It'll take a little bit of time to,
think it's gonna take
if
a
that's the
while.
case, and we do have a crosswalk there and whatnot, it'll take some time for people to get used to it, certainly. That doesn't, wherever you put a crosswalk, it's gonna take time to get used to it.
I just think it's
But
gonna be a dangerous thing.
I don't disagree with you, but the options are limited. It's gonna, we're gonna have to have a lot of signage, a lot of flags and flashing lights and whatever else we can do and.
2 pages, you have the ambulance showing parked in front of the building. Is that part of the plan or
No, that was-
the ambulance over there?
That was a placeholder.
No, we don't plan to have an ambulance. We don't plan on running an ambulance at this point in time. It was to represent a smaller vehicle where they could line up a couple of the utility vehicles or a smaller, not the same scale as a fire truck. Good eye.
My other question is, excuse me. This 30-foot right of ways. For that road out back,
Yeah,
apparently that building looks like it's built at a 45.
yep.
Could they build it less than the 45? So that this corner of the building. Comes down toward Mansion Hill. To give them more room for those fire trucks on that corner.
Like tilted a little bit, you mean?
Because what if we have to get a larger ladder truck? And that's gonna be a tight turn.
Oh, I mean, that was part of the original discussions where they had the parking originally, where they had a bunch of different additional parking and additional cruiser parking and stuff like that. And we thought it was too tight of a corner. That's why we eliminated some parking and moved it over. But could the building be tilted a little bit? So
Instead of 45 going 40,
40, yeah,
35, whatever, so. You bring it down some,
slightly,
give
yeah.
more room in that corner.
Yeah, I mean,
It
it
doesn't have to
definitely,
be a 45.
sure. I think they would. Yeah, I mean, that's something we can definitely bring up with them. That's something that we can have.
The ladder truck can be brought to the front apron and backed up. I mean, we did it for 100 years. Not every fire station, you have a drive-through. So
But if we're building for the future and that's what we want to build, I mean.
it's just one piece of apparatus.
The whole point of us
That truck's
moving
not
some
getting
of
any
the
bigger.
parking
They're
was,
basically doing that now, right? They're
Yes.
Back into the. fire.
Where it's gonna get,
Yeah.
it's gonna get
The
a
only
little pocket.
Concern we have with that was that end of Pollard Road. It gets really tight right in that area, so having the benefit to take the tower and bring it around and pull it right through was. It would make life so much easier.
So much easier.
for everyone.
And
Safer.
you don't have to move that building down very much to give quite a bit more room on that corner.
Yeah, like Karina said, I mean, they took out, there was, what was there, parking, there was maybe the generator back there.
I think
Trying
we
to
got rid
widen
of
it out
almost
to-
20 parking spots from their original design to where we are right here. I think we got rid of at least 20 parking spots to try to.
Karina, what page are you looking at right now?
I'm looking at, well, right now I'm looking at 7.
What's it look like? So we're all on the same page here.
I was just looking at 9.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the 11.9.
Yeah.
That page. If you look at the north side of that, where it's just no parking, you can see the security gate and that like little blue line. They originally had parking all along that. They originally had parking, where it says they had 2 entrances for the personnel. So rather than coming in here, they had 2 entrances for a public parking area right here. And then an entrance right here, which we thought we didn't like 2 entrances, right, one right after another. We thought that still would add congestion on Mansion Hill. So we thought it would be best if we could access the parking that would be public or to the common areas right at the bottom of Mansion Hill versus 2 essentially 10 feet or 20 feet apart from each other. So we did eliminate a lot of parking spaces to try to accommodate, fitting this on the lot. But could the building be cornered a little bit differently? Probably. I mean, you'd have to talk to them. I'm not obviously an engineer, but I see your concern, Jim.
Did you bring that to them the next time you have a meeting?
Yeah, so before
Suggestion?
you came in, they're coming to the December 19th Board of Selectmen's meeting at 5:30 to do a public presentation for the selectmen and the building
Fantastic.
committee. And I'm sure they are willing to answer as many questions at that time that we can give them, so.
You do realize there has to be a certain percentage of green area in this. So it can't be just all parking. There's gotta
Oh,
be some
yeah.
grass.
Right, well, and that's also part of the reason why we got rid of some of the parking in the front half of the building. Because we could then do like a veterans memorial or a flag or something, some benches to kind of make it a little bit of
There
landscape.
again, on this corner here,
Yeah,
there is culvert underneath Pollard Road right there.
Okay.
But it doesn't do anything. So they can take all those trees down, fill that whole area in, and that could be an entrance right here for public parking too.
to be honest, Jim, we did have public parking on that side as well, and we kind of flip-flopped back and forth on whether we liked it in front of that, closer to the fire department bays, or we liked it on the other side, so that was something that was proposed, not too long ago.
Have we
Definitely
abandoned
still.
the access to 93 North?
We haven't abandoned that, no, right now, this site plan includes the state's triangle, so we'll still have to move forward with that.
Yep.
And obviously, the access point to 93 is, would only be advantageous for us, so we would definitely still.
So it would have to come off of Pollard Road.
It will have to come off of Pollard Road, yeah. I mean, or I think Tammy and I had spoken about potentially where that little white square is, where the trash enclosure is. Having an access point at the top. And going to I-93 that way, but unfortunately, I think the state's gonna dictate where that. access
Yeah,
point
absolutely.
Is going.
Especially where the 32 on ramp is, it's gonna have to probably be the north west corner of the property to be far enough away from that on ramp to not interfere with it.
But we had definitely talked
Yeah.
about not going off Pollard Road and maybe trying to find an access point somewhere in the
Yeah.
lot, but I think that's really gonna be.
The state's gonna tell us where we're gonna put
Where
it.
we're gonna
That's
put
gonna,
it.
yeah.
And that's gonna be subject to change, obviously.
Is this enough to provide some more information to the state in order to get them to start thinking about either letting us lease it or whatever?
Yeah, I think we could gauge the temperature with DOT now with something like this, but I think funding's gonna be the kicker. DOT is not gonna say yes to us. It's my personal opinion, I could be mistaken, that DOT is not gonna say yes to us unless we have money to build this building.
Now, if you use Pollard Road as the entrance to 93,
Mhm.
you're not gonna be moving Pollard Road at all, right?
That's not the plan, no.
And you'll have to move fire hydrant, because that fire hydrant's
Right in the middle.
almost dead center.
It's just a speed bump, right?
Right.
I just don't think the state will allow, the entrance to be off Pollard Road.
Yeah,
You're probably right, you're probably right. You're
I know the state's not gonna allow that because there's gonna be too many people thinking it's
Another-
gonna be a private entrance off the property itself.
and
Isn't that
probably
what you
the
think it is?
northwest corner to be far enough away from the 32 on ramp too.
Right.
Is my guess.
Yeah,
It would be nice if they could, or if they would do this. To have it so that guys can still get out with the trucks or whatever. So they can cut across the turnaround, because that's not, that's, yeah. Well, not right across from it, but so that they can come out and kind of. Go up and over, because if they've got to go. south, it'd
Turnarounds
be a
can
lot
be
easier.
easily moved too. That's.
Yeah, that would be a
that's
lot less than
minor.
trying to move Mansion Hill,
That's minor, moving a
yeah.
turnaround in the
You're gonna
highway.
be directly across from, because you don't
Yeah.
want fire trucks going
No,
directly.
but
across.
moving those is an easy, that's an easy one, yeah.
Yeah.
You don't really need a driveway for that.
no, and I think, you know, I think when we get some of these estimates, when we get the cost estimates from their, you know, estimator, the construction estimator, that's really gonna dictate how fast or slow this project moves. And I think the next step, if we are deciding to fund this or to fund final designs or moving forward with final designs, that's when the conversations with the state happens. Because we're not gonna create final designs for something if we don't know we can use that parcel or not, or we don't know if we can use that access point or not. So I think once we know how much money we're spending and how much we're willing to go forward with for this town meeting or the next one or the next one or the next one, is gonna dictate how fast we have to move with the state.
And looking through some of the available grants that are out there,
Right.
there's less than half that was available last year,
Right,
which stinks.
Any word on that $1 million grant from,
from Annie Custer's office, we were disqualified from that million because we didn't have the EOC cost estimates and square footage and everything itemized. So if we have this now, if the House Appropriations or the Senate and the House Appropriations come again, I think we would be able to justify, here we go, here's our EOC square footage, this is the construction cost for the EOC, this is what outfitting would cost. I think we were just a little bit premature, unfortunately. And we kind of knew that going into it, kind of knew it was a shot in the dark, but now at least we're on their radar. They've seen the project before. It won't be, you know, brand new to them, hopefully.
is there an EOC in here?
Yes. Yes, like right when you get in, it says EOC storage, and then it's part of the yellow, and then it says EOC toilet, public toilet. We also think that some of the dispatch, would qualify for an EOC because you're not gonna have a emergency operations center without dispatch, essentially, right? They help run the EOC.
Right,
It's supposed to be separate from dispatch.
It is separate, but we're thinking that we may be able to get funding for that in
Separately?
addition, yeah.
Is there gonna be a basement in this place?
No, there hasn't been talk about a basement, but there has been talk about attic space and how the attic would be potentially constructed to expand into that area.
Basement would be a good place for the evidence room, exercise room and a firing range.
I'm sure it would be.
You gotta dig a hole anyways.
We do gotta dig a hole, but then we also gotta, that's another floor of finished space, you know, which, I mean, I don't mind the idea, I like it.
How about heating systems and air conditioning systems? Where do they go?
So right now, they're proposing, that's still somewhat up in the air, but right now they're proposing, so they have two ideas. One is going to be this kind of false peaked roof where all the units and the condensers and stuff would go kind of in a gully in that fake peak roof to try to create some space that they don't have to use it on the inside. They also talked about maybe moving some of that stuff inside, but they were waiting until they were getting with the site engineer and to kind of finalize.
Yeah,
Where
putting
that
stuff
stuff
like
is
that
gonna
up in the attic can be a headache.
Yeah, well, on
Just
that,
to have it on the flag.
absolutely, and what we talked about is if it is in the attic, then we need full access to that attic, right? We can't just have a little stair, like a little ladder stair to get up and down, because that was the problem with this building. That they didn't have adequate access to it, and then we had to spend.
Usually get a lot of leaks out of it.
Yeah, right, so that was the thing, if we were going to have it in the attic, we said then we need full attic space, and there's no point in creating an attic with all this utility stuff in it that can't be used for other things as well. So, they were gonna do kind of different cost estimates for whether it was gonna be on the outside in that false kind of roof, peak roof, or if they were gonna have to move it inside.
Now, my question is, like the fire station is nothing but a garage.
Correct.
Now, say, for example, the police station's like $500 per square foot. Can they break it down to like what the fire station will be itself? Because that's
Yes,
totally,
they're
I
gonna
mean,
give
it's a
us
simple building, it's like a oversized garage, that's all it is.
Yeah, they're gonna give us cost estimates for phase 1, phase 2, and for the whole thing. And phase 2 is essentially just the base,
Just the way,
it's just the base, the fire base.
Could you ask for a cost per buildings to a basement? Everything down there.
Sure.
I mean, concrete walls are gonna be a whole lot cheaper than building above ground. And it'd be a really secure place for evidence. And the building's big enough, to have a pretty good fire range down there.
I'm sure the
Either way,
PD
you're
would
gonna
be,
be.
Most of your fire range is only 50 feet anyway.
I'm sure the PD would be all in favor for a firing range in the basement.
Absolutely.
As with,
Yeah.
As with fire.
I'm gonna ask you,
Well, that
think-
too, and then they could do trainings and such, and generate some revenue.
I think when they built Manchester PD, they put the firing range in the basement. I know they did.
Yeah.
And a lot of other things to secure things. They saved a lot of money that way, because these guys built Manchester PD, correct?
They
And the
built-
highway department,
They built a bunch of different buildings.
I know they're doing Station 9 right now in Manchester.
I know that they're doing one in Wells, they're doing one they're doing Molten Burrows right now as well. They're doing a couple right now. I don't know exactly which ones they're done, but you might be right with Manchester.
Is that evidence from concrete at all 6 sides? Top, bottom, and all the walls.
Right, doesn't have to be.
All these designs can be changed anyways.
This, again, this is conceptual.
This is very
This is,
conceptual.
this is still conceptual. We are in conceptual. This is for visual purposes and general square footage, so we know we can fit everything we need within the building, where they'll generally go, where windows would generally go, but everything's still conceptual, you know, we're not in the final design phase. We don't have the money for the final design phase, so. But yes, everything is still conceptual.
I mean, one of my biggest concerns is make sure we have enough parking,
Agreed.
you know, I mean, it's a good sized building on a small lot.
There's no doubt about that, but they do say that they were actually impressed with our lot. They thought it's one of the flattest lots they've ever worked on. They said it has great access point to I-93. It's got great access point to multiple, you know, corners in town. They could go straight up connector, or they could turn, there's some challenges the lot brings, but it also has a lot of benefits as well.
It's a lot, yeah. It's a nice design.
Yeah, and again, this is them putting color blocks. They said at the next meeting, we should have something that's a little bit more artistic, you know, not a full rendering, obviously, but something that we could start to put selling documents together, or, you know, promotional.
And I want a video of people walking, you know, they do those digital things.
But yeah, and they know that, you know, we would like to start like a community campaign, depending on, you know, how we decide to fund this, how much money we're gonna put away, what we're gonna do, you know, in 23.
We're gonna fund it
24.
with grants.
Um,
If it kills me, we're.
They know we gotta start that,
Yeah.
so you know, that's why they're coming in on the 19th, and I think they're gonna try to get our, you know, our questions, comments, concerns, and then after the holidays, we'll be starting public, public meetings to engage the public.
I mean, overall, I think it's a nice design. I'm only looking on the fire side. I think the fire side needs a lot of changes. There's a lot of things that should be changed. I don't know anything about the police side. But I think the overall appearance of the building and the layout and the lots. Smart layout. I just hope we have enough parking there. For employees and customer service and everything else.
Agreed. I mean, I think parking was a major concern, especially for the PD downstairs who shares parking with public and public entrance. And, I think they're also concerned with, where their cruisers go
Yeah.
versus where the residents of the communities vehicles are gonna go, how they're gonna access it. So, I think your concerns are.
Was there a common room for like a public meeting or anything?
I believe,
Is that the common space room?
yeah, and that's first, that common space, yep.
If you have a common space room, you can't have the EOC either.
What do you mean?
My EOC is usually always set up, ready to go.
Well, there's an EOC storage. Still in the yellow. And then the EOC toilet. Still all in that yellow area, so the EOC stuff could be set up in the storage closet. I know that in Camden, we got an EOC grant and we had get it, we really just needed a closet. We needed a closet that we could put the podium in, that the TVs were, we needed obviously TVs on the wall and a connection and all that stuff, but we needed a closet to put we had like this rolling cart that had the, monitors and the TV, and the desktop and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, I think. Again, nothing is set in stone. These are all just ideas on paper. Walls can come down, doors can be rearranged. This is all just, let's try to see if we can fit everything that the PD wanted, that the fire department wanted in this space. Would it work? And they actually say that it flows well in comparison to some of the other designs,
Designs, yeah.
yeah.
So we're pretty fixed at about 30,000 square feet. A pretty good number.
I don't know, that's the number they were given from the beginning, and
Yeah.
after talking to both departments, that's the number they tried to stay within.
I think they did a great job. Paul, what do you think?
Looks like we're trying to pound a square peg into a round hole, but I'll leave it at that.
No, why do you say
Why-
that?
yeah,
I it looks crowded. The site looks like there's not enough space here to really get the program you want, but yeah.
We don't have any other options. There's not that much land in town of Lincoln.
We still need to get land from the state to do this.
Correct.
How's that discussion going?
Well,
Not until we have a design to bring to them.
yeah, I feel like it would be slightly a fruitless effort to push this with the state and then have it all.
Right, it was mentioned before we even started and they were, that sounds interesting. It wasn't a no, it wasn't a yes, but it wasn't. Normally with the state, there's either a hard, fast no, or there's a possibility we could talk about it. So we got the possibility, which is encouraging. We need to come to the state.
It's land the state will probably never use.
No.
No, right,
Never be able to use.
no. I would think that they would be, especially if we were willing to work with them and some other things that, but the state is the state, just like towns are the towns, and they all have someone they gotta answer to, and we all gotta go through the process and the motion,
Right.
so it's not gonna happen overnight,
Or try to arrange for the local state troopers.
but it could be a possibility.
Is there any thought of maybe incorporating a couple state agencies that have offices here?
We definitely talk about that as well. There's, if you could, again, there's future growth on the top floor. There's also future growth on the bottom floor. We also, I think they put in a additional, I can't remember exactly what they did, but they put in spaces where if we needed to, like you said, bring in another state agency to maybe help with some of the funding or.
First floor, police, New Hampshire State. Police room.
Oh, yeah, New Hampshire State Police Room, right, if that's in blue on the first floor. So yes, we definitely have tried to take into consideration if we had some extra room, some extra space to be able to, give that to other agencies. Or at least have it accessible to other agencies.
John, you have anything?
Very inexperienced. in this area. Police department.
Deb?
I'm having a hard enough time seeing it right now. It's just so too small.
Well, these designs too were made for giant,
Right.
and we
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
squashed it all into this, but
Yeah, it's,
Yeah. you'll have to get the magnifying glass. Don't
yeah,
laugh, 'cause
that's
I
what
do
I'm
the
gonna
same
do
thing.
when I get home.
I do the same thing, yeah, I do.
James?
I guess, said what?
Not being able to really see what I'm reading here and just kind of like guessing. It does look a little crowded. All this stuff here, to me, it does look a little crowded, I don't.
I just look at what's downstairs. I take a walk downstairs and this looks like the Taj Mahal.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
saying. I'm saying,
You mean the offices
Yeah.
are crowded? Because all
I don't think so.
the offices can be, that's just, right now, we're just looking at a vanilla box.
Right.
Those, all that thing is gonna be changed one way or another.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of things that don't make sense. So. I mean, that, we need.
So,
to-
I don't know what you're talking about, because I think it all looks nice. I love the design. I love where everything is. I love how they put it there.
Oh, I like the design of the building and I think,
I like the design of where the offices are and the different rooms and closets, and you come in and take your dirty gear, when I'm talking fire department, take your dirty stuff off right there and you go right into the locker rooms. I love that. That it's all, and the officers, the offices for fire chief and the deputy chief, et cetera, they're all right there in one spot.
What makes it difficult for us though is that you can't really read the dimensions, but you have a room there to change your clothes or do something, well, that could be a 6x6 or it could be a 16x16.
now they give the square
The
footage.
square footage
I know,
on
but I
it.
can't read it.
Oh, see, I get what you're
So
saying.
tiny.
You can blow them up on 11x17s if you want. You can come pick them up in the next few days and you can, if it's easier to see that way. I can do that. No problem. Deb, I can make a couple copies and then we can just, so it's easier to read.
Those rooms are probably bigger than you think they are.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, they're pretty.
In comparison to the size of this building.
Right, I'm just looking, you can see where the agility room, that's 419 square feet. So it looks big on there, it's really big if you think about how big that is. The male locker shower room, 379 square feet. The gear storage, 164 square feet, so they're all pretty decent size.
Yeah, you figure 10 by 10's only 100 square feet.
Right, exactly. Exactly. So the dispatch supervisor's office is 103 square feet, so the supervisor's office is 10 by 10 room, basically. It looks fairly square, so. The break room is 106 square feet, again, it's a 10 by 10 room. Trying to see, the holding cells are 93 square feet, so that's just under a 10 by 10 room.
Well, and again, we put names and titles on these rooms, but like assistant deputy chief for the fire department. He doesn't have his own office now, like that,
Right.
another office and another room and another, 10 by 10 office. That wall between the two could be taken down and that could be a much bigger room for something
Right.
else, again, this was just trying to. Put squares on in a map,
Yeah, I think we should just look at the whole outside of the building and the configuration of the structure itself.
Where are the conference rooms?
One of them's gonna be in the common space, that 1,000 square feet is gonna be a conference room.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
For like trainings or, something
Sure.
along those lines. And then, there's an interview room, there's also a future growth room on the inside.
I see that upstairs.
Yep, and also on the first
Downstairs
floor.
by the PD.
Yep,
Oh, I see it, yep, perfect. Conference rooms, yeah.
again, everything is still, again, it's
The
conceptual.
one thing that
still
makes me
just-
jealous is that the 59 square foot pantry. I want that. in my house. Are you kidding me? Heck, yeah. Which is a fancy name for a closet, I know, but still. I still want that in my house. I love it. I love it. I love the design. I love. They've got tool storage and event storage and stuff way over where it doesn't, not in the middle of anything. I think it's fantastic.
Well, and I think that now that you have these in front of you, and I'll make bigger copies and you can come pick them up. To come in on the December 19th and let's hear the architects and let's ask some of these questions live and, or you can zoom in,
Right.
they'll be zooming in. You can think about some of these questions or, potential changes or rearrangements. and-
Oh, what do you think needs to be moved?
Now,
I mean, you're a fireman, I'm not, so.
I wish I had the opportunity to work with Ryan and the rest of the guys. I mean, to be honest, I think on the left-hand side where it says event storage should be an entrance there.
There is,
There is.
in between the mechanical and the event storage is an entrance.
Okay, should be an entrance for, so when firefighters come in, they have a clean room, they grab their gear. All that gear in a dirty room should be, if they come back from a call, they go to the back of the station and have a dirty room. So everything should be shifted to one side. That's. Actually, North Conway did that to their station and it impressed me how I did it. The last station they built back in Manchester, that's how they did it. As soon as you exited the apparatus bay, you went right into a dirty room.
That's right here.
That's
Right
right
there.
there.
Right.
They develop hot, warm and cold zones.
Yep,
You extract your dirty gear, you take the gear off there, straight into the locker room, take a shower. Once that was done, you went down with your store or even. the
Yeah,
shower.
what I was
Over
thinking,
into gear
separating it
storage.
all to one side of the building, so they don't have the tendency of. Walking over to the clean side. Everything be like, everything dirty be on the left hand, say on the left hand side there. Make it all the dirty side, and then everything move some of that stuff to the right side. as
Yeah, but
possible.
essentially that's exactly what they did. And
Yes.
flip flop, everything to the left is clean. That's your clean storage, your ready room, your firefighters lockers, your clean laundry, your kitchen, your kitchenette, and then
To the left.
everything on the right is the dirty side.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
what I was thinking,
oh, on the other side of the
the other
trucks.
side of the trucks. Because
So-
if
so
there's
you-
parking
you-
over there,
See, that doesn't make sense to me, and explain to me, because I don't get it. If you come into the truck, you go here, take your stuff off, shower, then you walk naked across through the trucks to get to put
No, no,
stuff
no.
on?
no, so.
I don't understand what that,
So if there's a call, all the volunteers come in,
Yeah.
they park on the left-hand side,
okay,
they go into a clean room or where their gear is. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Grab their gear, walk directly onto the apparatus floor, get in a piece, go for a call.
Yeah.
When they come back and they had a fire or anything, they would walk to the back of the apparatus. And then that's where they could have their laundry,
oh, I see what you're saying,
and
okay, okay.
try keeping all the gear and everything separate from the living area even close, because. There's a tendency of, I just gotta go pee, I just gotta go grab a snack. I just gotta, I'll take my jacket off, I got my bunker pants on, there's that tendency. Try to separate everything, I mean, keep the same basic layout, but just maybe shift some of the stuff, so all the gear. Is on one side, so after.
Separated by. the
After
trucks.
you put your gear in the extractor, after you, then you come in, you have your shower room, then you go back into your clean room.
That being said, you can flip clean gear storage and vent storage.
Yeah, exactly, yep,
Yeah.
yep. And the only reason why that was brought to me, because North Conway, the way they explained it, have you been to the North Conway station? Yeah, we should take a ride up, because they did a great design, and they never really. It caught my attention, wow, that's really a smart design, how they did that. And they just kind of kept everything, and the purpose was that the guys wouldn't have a tendency to just, we're gonna grab a snack real quick, we're gonna grab a thing out of the fridge, and next thing you know, they're walking to the station. And I know when Station 7 was built, there was a door that you didn't walk inside any place except for you're in that dirty room, that was it. And there was a shower and everything, and once you walk back into where you entered, where you left your shoes and left whatever, is the clean gear room. So maybe just switch some of that over to that side of the building, separate, especially if the guys come in one entrance and come out one entrance.
And again, that's all still possible, again, because this is
Oh, yeah.
conceptual, you know,
Yeah.
it's,
I mean, the rest of it's just basically walls, how you arrange it, and, you know, what your needs are, what your, you know. It's just like the PD, I mean, it's just walls, you can move walls anytime you
you
want.
can title it one thing and then move it to something else,
I
right?
think the biggest thing is, you know. Location of the building on the site itself. Where would be, okay, I have a question, where? Which one here has the parking for employees and stuff?
Right there, you can see the parking.
This one right here?
Yeah, they also have the parking, you'll see, 16 PD parking, 8 covered PD parking, 6 PD parking.
Yeah.
5 FB, 10 FB.
So what I meant, so. If you have, you know. I'm gonna speak for the fire, if you come on the fire side, you have that parking right there where the guys can just park their car, go through one entrance. Grab their gear, go through the big one, if they come back, they stay away from the clean part, they go around the back, drop off their gear, and then go right to their cars if they have.
Yeah, we
You know,
have-
try keeping everything, you know, and that FD parking is excellent, that's perfect.
yeah, that wasn't originally there, that was something that Brian added on.
Yeah.
this-
That's a great concept. You know, everything else, all the other designs, the offices, that. Whatever you need. I really hate to see it go into 2 phases because
I think we all do,
the problem is. You know, that second phase may never get built or or it's gonna cost double what we think,
100%.
you know.
You're-
I mean,
you're
I'd be
absolutely
totally
correct.
against the 2 phases, if we're gonna do it, let's do it right the first time for PD, fire and dispatch.
I couldn't agree more, and like I said previously, I think we were trying to be proactive, so if someone says, well, what if you only do
You can answer the
this? What if you
question,
only
right.
do the PD? We'll say,
We know.
we looked into that, and that was gonna cost us X number of dollars.
That's why maybe if we get a price for. The build out for the offices or a vanilla box for the office area and the price for the fire station, which is just a garage, you know. Probably, you know, the only thing different with the garage would be the ventilation system
Well,
and the floor radiant heat in the floor.
right, and so in that first phase, they are showing some of the fire department's offices, like you said, some of the administrative offices for the fire department. Are in that first phase, and then the second phase is traditionally just the fire base.
And anybody have any other comments?
Can't wait to hear the numbers.
See you on the 19th, right?
No, wait a minute, I'm not done yet.
Oh, sorry, I gotta go,
You have to.
I do, yeah, I
All
gotta.
right, now, okay, my next thing is. A lot of this was done without any of the board members present.
Correct.
What is the purpose of the committee then, if we're not gonna be present at some of these meetings?
Well, as I mentioned previously, that I look to the committee as the soundboard, as the first stop before we
Yep.
get to the residents in the community. You guys have obviously been on this committee for over a year now, working towards this. But respectfully, I think the officers, both fire and PD, know their operations and they know what they need better than I do, better than most of us do. So in these initial phases, I think they led the charge, essentially. This is what we need, this is how our operations work, the site stuff. The next step I see is them coming in on the 19th, they do their formal presentation, we get some cost figures. And then we decide, the board of selectmen decides how we move forward on whether we're gonna fund it now, maybe with some input from the committee. And then we get to the community relations side of things, the public forums, the visuals, how do we advertise this? That's all coming down the line, and that's when I see the committee kind of taking on.
Well, originally, the purpose of the committee, the reason that the selectmen decided that they wanted a building committee was to decide. Do we need a new police station? Do we need a new fire station? Do we need new town offices? Do they need to all be together? Do they need to be 2 separate entities? Does town hall need to stay here? Et cetera, et cetera. And that's what we did. We brought that to the selectmen and said, we've decided as a committee, with some input from folks in town that immediately said, blew up, town hall stays on Main Street.
It should,
And but that, I agree, I absolutely
agree
agree,
too.
yep. And that it was decided by this committee that we definitely needed a new police station, we need a new fire station. And that it made more sense to combine them. And then it was the selectmen said, well, let's, then it was up to the selectmen to hire a company to come up with a design. And then, like you said, once we have the design, once we have the cost, then it's up to the selectmen whether we go forward or not. And if they decide to go forward, the selectmen are really gonna need this committee to help them. I don't wanna say sell this, but help them promote it, explain it, bring it to town meeting.
And I think you're honestly right. I just think that, you know, some of the members of the committee feel like we've been left out in the dark for the last 3 months.
Designing the building wasn't this committee's purpose.
Okay.
Designing the building was
I
the
feel like I've been left
designers.
out a little bit because I think I have a little more experience than him in fire design. I mean, I worked helping design 4 or 5 firehouses. I think I would have had a little more expertise. He did a great job. Ron did a great job and everything.
won't
I
agree,
just think
I
there,
don't agree
some
or
of the,
disagree. However, Ron is our deputy fire chief. I mean, Brian is our deputy fire chief and Ron is our chief.
right, yeah,
They are the ones that were involved in designing this.
Right.
As well as Chad and,
Jeff.
well, now was Jeff, yeah, absolutely. That were the key players in the design of the police department. So, and that's how it should be, absolutely. The Lincoln- Lincoln Fire Chief, Lincoln Deputy Fire Chief, Lincoln Police Chief, and Lincoln Deputy Police Chief are the ones that needed to be involved with designing the Lincoln Fire Station and Lincoln Police Station. So that's what was done.
And
So,
you couldn't just also let the head of this board sit in those meetings.
No, it was decided that this board, that's not this board's purpose, job, or responsibility. It's the town manager and the chiefs and deputy chiefs and the people that we hired to design the building. That's who's designing the building, not the people on this board. That wasn't the purpose of this board. Originally, it was to decide if we even need any of those things, and whether this building was gonna stay here. or not.
Any information he could give.
No, the 17th, that's why we're having that. The 17th, they're gonna come, they're gonna present to, sorry, the 19th, I apologize. To the building committee and to the select board and to anybody else that wants to. And who knows, maybe there's a award-winning police station designer that comes and sits and listens and puts some input as well. I mean, it doesn't, we will always take input. In those meetings, always. We never tell anybody, we don't want to hear what you have to say, because people bring good things to the table.
now, I wish like one board member or somebody would have been represented at these meetings so that we could come back and. So I think the board member of the board feels like they've been left out in the dark and would just be.
You mean the committee?
the
this committee?
Yeah,
There was Ryan, Ron, Jeff,
Jeff's not here.
Chad, and Karina, that are all on this committee, who are all in those meetings. We definitely had committee members in there. There's no question.
Nobody from the general public.
No. No. I don't understand why you think that was necessary. I apologize. I just need to get a drink of water, and then I have children to pick up. So I apologize. I was late. I was covering for someone that had a surprise emergency surgery, so I was covering for her at school, so. And I have kids I have to go get, so I do apologize for that. You have one you've got to pick up as well, don't you?
I do, I have to go as well, and I'll just say this, your concern, I hear your concerns, okay? Moving forward, as we go into this community engagement portion of it, the committee is obviously going to be more involved, because as I've said in the past, you are the soundboard, you're my first stop, you're all of our first stop going out into the committee. What will sell, what won't sell, how do we want to approach this? The committee will be more involved, but I don't disagree with Tammy. I'm not an expert in the fire department, and I don't want to, your credentials are your credentials and Ryan's are his and Ron's are his and Chief's downstairs are theirs. To expedite this process and get it all done in the time frame in which we needed to get it done, I think it was easier to work in a small group. But moving forward, if you want more of a periodic update or something along those lines, I'd be happy to at any time discuss it with anyone, so.
Yeah, I mean, I was asked over the last 2 or 3 months, what's going on, and I was in a blind, I had no idea.
I don't think that's true, Al. You come in and I tell you.
I
the
did talk to you,
status.
right.
Deb comes in, I tell her the status. Have I made a formal committee email? No, not in a while, you know.
Don't you think that, I mean, you could have at least put something out?
Well, I
to
think
out
in August,
So
I,
that we didn't have to come to you
Sure.
specifically to say what's going on.
well, I think in August, I made it clear that over the next few months, we were going to be working with the contractors.
Oh, you
and
made
that-
it very clear that it was none of our business.
It's not that it's none of your business, but I'm hired.
That's part of it.
I absolutely don't.
I'm hired by the town to manage all of their projects, right? That's part of my job. I'm the town manager. It's the definition of my title. I manage the water and sewer projects. I manage the water tank projects. I manage the Riverfront Park project. I've been thrown into 10 projects that are in the middle of their existence, right? Some of them at different stages. I'm hired to manage projects for the town. I understand that maybe in my predecessor wasn't as involved, or maybe wasn't as hands-on as I am, but
And we thank you for that. We think-
it's a different day and age. I mean, if I step away from this project's probably not going anywhere anytime soon.
That's correct.
And so I understand your concern and I think I respect your opinion, but mine differs. I was put in this position to manage the projects, and that's what I'm trying to do to the best of my capability, seeing as none of these are my projects to begin with. I've been thrown into the middle of them. So
They're yours now.
they're
They're yours now.
I'm trying to manage them to the best of my ability, and I apologize if you are offended that you felt left out of the process. I didn't mean to do so. It's nothing personal, but I need to prioritize where my time and energy goes and how my days are spent. So,
I mean, my only concern was that I did go to your office and I did talk to you and I had one drawing presented to me. I just wish like maybe we would have received and looked at these.
It's the first time I've seen those, and I'm the selectman, so you're not getting any more information than anybody else is.
Right,
Or any less, I should say. You're not getting any less information than anybody else. Is that last in the email was the only thing the selectman had seen, that
Yeah.
last one thing. You're getting everything everybody else is getting. You're not getting any less than anyone else. As a matter of fact, you've gotten more than the selectmen have gotten so far.
okay. I mean, Paul, you have anything or
you don't want to join in, Paul?
John, Deb?
I think we should be a little more transparent about sharing information on a real-time basis, you know, it doesn't.
Yep.
Like these folks, people have asked me what's going on, frankly. I
This
don't
is,
know.
this is real time though. I don't understand
I
what
said,
you're.
I don't know what's going on.
Is it just not moving
No,
fast?
I'll ask somebody else.
No,
I
we're
mean,
just
you're
not
seeing
hearing anything.
these drawings you have, haven't even been brought to the selectmen yet. You've gotten them first. We just
8,
got them.
11, 7, 11, 9, 10, whatever. I looked at the dates that have been around for a while.
It's the 17th of November. It's been
It's
around
been
for
less than 10 days. Yeah. Some of them less than 10 days.
Yeah.
I mean.
And it's not a decision maker anyways, it's just something to look at. I mean, overall
Yeah.
site review and everything, and it's just something. I mean, I think the 19th, if we have questions, we should write them down ahead of time. And address, you know, designers and have questions.
I just, as a whole, I just feel that I came into this thinking this is a great project. It's something I can really sink my teeth into. And it just seems as if I don't expect this thing to be built for probably 3 to 5 years, to be perfectly honest with you. And I think we all knew that going in. But I very much feel as if we've been cut off. It's like, no offense, whoever is the manager, okay? You're getting what you want from fire and that, and there's no discussion, no anything. No input from us who, we're the ones that went to the selectmen and got the okay to go ahead and try to do this. And we're the ones that spend all our time meeting every month, going out to the site, trying to figure out ways, and it's like. I feel as if I shouldn't have even
Do you-
bothered
do you-
at this point.
I'm confused. Do you feel you should have been in meetings with the designers and designing the building?
I think whether we were there to be able to voice our opinions or not. But to have been there and at least heard some of what they were trying to
See, that's
just bring up.
not really how it works, how committees like this work. They don't.
Well,
Yeah, I think the
We don't-
building itself
we
and,
have-
and how the fire and police wanted it set up inside is up to them. It's not really.
Yeah.
I think our biggest concern is the need for this building, the location, how the building's arranged. The interior can be designed any way they want. You know, but I know you have to go.
I
Yeah,
know, I
she has to go.
apologize.
Yeah,
All
I'm
right.
gonna get kids. I'm.
All right, so we'll see everybody December 19th.
At 5:30.
All right, meeting adjourned.
Motion, second, yes, thank you, I.